Hey everybody, welcome to the Trailblazers podcast, where we're not actually a podcast, we're just producing important hockey videos, giving you previews of the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. Right now we're talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Colorado Avalanche, and we want to recap quickly Game 1, what are some of the things that we saw, and then also to give you a little bit of a preview for what you can expect tonight going into Game 2 and for the rest of the series. So for first thoughts, I will hand it off to Tyler on what he saw in Game 1.
Right on, thanks, Dave. So yeah, like the number one takeaway that I have from this first game is that you could tell that Colorado was really well rested. So, worked to their advantage. They swept the Oilers and they got all that time off to maybe recoup some injuries and come out with a lot of energy, because you could tell that at least in the first period, for sure they brought a lot of energy on the forecheck and they were catching Tampa Bay flat-footed and everything. And you just have to look at like the first couple of goals to kind of see how this went with. I think the first goal was, they shot it from the outside, and it just kind of squeaked by Vasilevsky. Normally that goal doesn't go in, but Landeskog is driving hard to the net, beats the defenseman, and puts it in. So he's coming hard on the forecheck, right? And then that second goal, and it also looked like, Hedman wasn't having the greatest game, and the Tampa Bay defensemen in general were having a difficult time getting the puck up to the forwards on the transition. So he tried to feed it up to that forward there, but the forward was way too far away. The Hedman is behind the goal line and the forward is like between the ringette line and blue line. So you want him more like down by the hash marks to make it more difficult. But Colorado forward reads this from a mile away and comes ripping in on the forecheck, strips him of the puck, and then comes in and scores again, which, it wasn't actually that bad it wasn't that good of an angle. Vasilevsky, again, I think he normally has this one. So bunch of combinations of stuff going on there, and then the game just kind of progressed along that line. Obviously, Tampa's a good team, so they woke up later in the game and they showed some life, and they played good and actually tied it up and brought it to OT. But I think that's the number one sentiment I'm getting from Game 1 here, is that Colorado was ready, they were well rested, and they caught Tampa Bay on their heels a little bit. And that's just kind of that took control of the game right off the start, and then Tampa Bay was playing catch up after that. I don't know, Dave. What are your thoughts from Game 1 there?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably just keep it pretty brief on the summary. Similar to like what you're saying, the one thing I'd say is kind of give Tampa credit. Like even in a game where they probably didn't have as many chances and were on average getting outplayed by Colorado, they did a really good job to claw themselves back in the game. 3-1 by the end of the first. 3-3 by the end of the second, which I don't think anybody was expecting, and then they tied it up they kept it tied up all the way into overtime, right? And then at overtime, it's like anybody's chance, one goal, anybody's wins. So I think Tampa for their first game in Colorado did a great job, especially the fact that they were playing until Game 6 against New York versus Colorado had a ton of time off. I also think too there was like maybe a couple defensive mistakes by Colorado that led to some of the Tampa Bay goals. So if Colorado can tighten up their defense, that'll help. And probably a bit continued support from Darcy Kemper. I don't think either of the goalies looked amazing in Game 1. Obviously, Vasilevsky led in some goals. Like, I saw a statistic in Game 1, he has, like, a very high goals against average, and also to this point, he had yet to let in a 5-hole goal where, like, Nichushkin beat him on 5-hole. So, I think, like, you can expect probably Vasilevsky's going to tighten up his game here in Game 2. But, yeah, Tyler, that's probably all my thoughts for Game 1 for, like, kind of recap. What do you have to think about what we can look forward to in Game 2 and like for the rest of the series?
Yeah, definitely. So for Game 2, I think Vasilevsky comes out and has a great game, because he knows those were a couple like iffy goals in the first game there. So we've seen his response before. I think he really shuts the door, and it's a low-scoring game. But it's still in Colorado, so there's going to be lots of energy on the Colorado side. They're up 1-0. They're going to want that 2-goal lead. We've seen them have 2 sweeps in the playoffs before, so they're going to be gunning for it. They don't sit back when it's a 1-0 lead. I think we see a really good game from Tampa on this. Hedman didn't have a great game. That's uncharacteristic of him. I think he's going to have a great one. So I'm just thinking a win for Tampa in Game 2 here. I think they're going to steal one in Colorado. And the secret sauce of their whole playoff run that not a single other team can figure out is the Sergachev wrister from the point. He got a goal like that in that game again, and I don't know what's going on here. That's what put the Rangers to sleep in the last series, and he's doing it again, keeping them in the game against Colorado in Game 1 there. Just a weird little floater from right from the blue line, and it's beating NHL goalies. I don't know what's going on there, but keep an eye out for more of those goals in Game 2. They might have to put a shadow on him there right at the point just in case. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking is Tampa steals one in Game 2 here tonight. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, that's hilarious. I'm pretty sure they probably did an hour worth of the video analysis after the game one win. They're like, you guys need to stop this guy from taking floaters at the point. And for all you defensemen back home, like Mikhail Sergachev is, making himself a nice playoff career from these wrister floaters. So just, take those floaters. You never know if they're going to go in or not. Yeah, for me, I know we were kind of chatting about this a little bit before we were on video. I think if Tampa can split this series, like they're in an amazing spot going back to Tampa, right? They play great at home. Colorado needs to bring the energy tonight, like if Tampa splits this, like Colorado might be in a little bit of an iffy spot. I know you're going to say 1-1, come on, it's tied, but look, Tampa's so good at home, and they have tons of playoff experience. So Colorado's got to get the win tonight. I'm hoping Colorado can take it. I'm going to say it's still going to be a tight game, though. I feel like this is going to be more of a goalie duel tonight. I'm going to say like 2-1 or 3-2. I don't know who's going to take it on either side. I'll take Colorado, so Tyler and I can balance each other out here. But yeah, I'm excited for tonight's game. I think it's going to be a great game. And yeah, we'll do another recap for you guys after tonight's game and see where to go from here on the series. Tyler, any closing thoughts on today's bid?
No closing thoughts. I'm excited for the game tonight. I think it's going to be a good one. We've got two amazing NHL teams here. My thought on the first game, it's so funny. These teams are so skilled and so good, and most of the goals we saw last night were flukes, except for that, there's two really nice ones, but most of them were just like little flukes that just cross over the goal line there. So, hey, they don't ask how, they ask how many. So we'll see if there's a couple of really nice Genos tonight, but it should be an exciting game either way. So we hope you guys enjoy it. Watch the game. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we will catch you around for Game 3 next time.
Will, who's your pick for today? Peace.
Drop it in the comments.